Oh, come on. What are we doing? Good morning, everyone. As we get started, what we are going to do, just got to find the chat here. Have a little pre-session survey. Take 60 seconds, fill that out, and then see, just so we have an idea of who all is here, and then we'll get ourselves going. I'll share quite yet.
If you just entered, there's a link in the chat where you can fill out a pre-session survey.
Okay, so it looks like we have a fair amount of adaptive physical education teachers joining us today, which is great, and a fair number of college students. Welcome. Hope you're having a good school year. And just go ahead. We'll hit present. I just want to make sure I actually am sharing the right screen here. You are sharing screen. Yes, I am. Okay, good. We're on the right screen. Once again, I'm Franz, and we are here. Well, unfortunately, Hans and Franz aren't actually here, but we are going to get the blood flowing with this here video. Now I'm just going to make sure that there's, maybe if I shared the audio, that would help.
You know, I think sometimes people get very fear-driven that, like, man, there's just no way out for this, and there's this perpetual cycle of distress. And to interrupt that, that's like a whole new lease on hope.
I have a below-the-knee amputation on my left leg. I was hit by an explosively formed penetrator, which has a round that actually goes through the vehicle.
My platoon, we had a patrol that we went on, and we were ambushed. Hit an IED.
We were conducting a dismounted foot patrol, and I actually knelt down on top of an IED waiting to make entry into a building.
We got nailed. I got launched out of the top of the turret. Looking at my leg, it was just mangled and my bones were out of it.
I couldn't feel anything from my belly button down, and so I just assumed that that was the end for me. These were the last fleeting moments.
I thought, man, is this really it? You know, the best of my life is behind me now.
Kind of lost interest in life itself. Or my future, to be quite honest.
And nothing to do, nowhere to go. All I had was a pain pill addiction, an air mattress, a pistol, and a laptop.
I saw these, I had all this medication. I was just thinking about taking it, just get it out, get it over with.
If you treat people broken, they act broken, right? If you treat people like whole individuals, right, and empower them to come and show up and focus on what they can do, right, suddenly you're doing the things that you didn't think you could do, and you're checking things off the list and empowering all those around you and championing others like you. And that's the part of this thing that's the secret sauce.
Arnold Palmer said it best in that the most rewarding things you do in life are often the ones that look like they cannot be done. So whether it was those individuals in the previous video, thinking about what we as physical educators, adaptive physical educators had to do during COVID. And I'll be honest, I didn't know how it was going to all work out, but we made things happen and learned a whole lot in the process and did things we probably would have never been able to do otherwise. So it's with that frame of mind that we welcome you to today's presentation. My name is Cody Mellinger. Whoops, there we go, go back one. And I have the privilege of serving as an adaptive physical education teacher here at Fairfax County Public Schools, specifically in the Annandale Pyramid. Had a fair amount of fitness experience, whether that would be working with the most severe disabilities in a weight room to being speed and conditioning coach of Westchester University softball at some point. I've been writing my own workout since I was 16 and participate in obstacle course racing, even had the chance to participate in the World Championships last year. So been around a little bit.
And my name is Hannah Nurse. I am a second-year adaptive physical education teacher in Fairfax County. I also work in the Annandale Pyramids as well as like West Fairfax. My fitness experience is mostly through me being a college athlete. So I'm still learning and getting a little bit more comfortable with that aspect, but that's my experience.
All right. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to emphasize the importance of task analysis when it comes to fitness, review the factors that affect task variation, discuss some adaptations for various exercises and fitness activities, and maybe identify how you can help others adapt and overcome. If you get nothing else from today, we're going to review the importance of meeting people where they are. Maybe you'll find one new idea to try, or maybe you'll think of your own idea. Hopefully the concepts presented, even if they are things that you have heard of before or tried, maybe just a review of these concepts may inspire you to try something new. So could go any way we choose here. But just some upfront disclaimer, some ideas might be borrowed. We try to cite as many resources as we can, but there's so many to keep track of. And trying to think about what I've done over time, like, oh, where did I learn that? So there's that. The concepts that are presented are going to be contingent on your program, whether that's health and physical education or adaptive physical education. And there are many different paths to get to similar destinations. So when I say that, we may be talking about, trying to increase someone's cardiorespiratory endurance through the pacer. Well, maybe pacer isn't the best option, even with different adaptations. Maybe there's something else that, could be explored to help someone increase their cardiorespiratory endurance. But as I said, there are many different paths to get to similar destinations. But before we get too far into it here, we're going to poll the audience with this question. What is the most creative adaptation to fitness that you have seen or implemented yourself? Type your responses into the chat. We'll take a look and see what you all have to say. Dancing warm up, that's great. Charsky.
Oh, that's really cool.
Wow, I like that. That's great. Power wheelchair timed obstacle course. Excellent. Nice. Nice. Take about 30 more seconds for folks to type their responses, and then we'll move right along. Student ownership, that's great. Teach virtually. Cool. Obstacle course warm up. Well, these are all wonderful things to share. Thank you so much. We're gonna go ahead and maybe where's my arrow? There we are. Get into some adaptation foundations.
So this quote of all good physical education is adaptive physical education. I feel like that stands very firm in both the general and special education setting. When we look at students with or without disabilities, everyone is unique and brings something different to the table. So even in a general physical education program, we have to take those individualized differences into account. So having differentiation already in a general physical education program makes it an adapted physical education program. So the importance of inclusion, we always want to celebrate diversity and individuality. Inclusion is a mutually beneficial ideal. It allows students without disabilities to learn from those with disabilities and vice versa. So those with disabilities can build those interpersonal skills, build social skills. They can become more confident interacting with their peers. It might look different in all settings. So sometimes we could see reverse inclusion, where a general education kid can enter the special education setting, but that is still inclusion. So it's really important that we emphasize inclusion in physical education to build upon these skills and the student's confidence.
And could also improve on social emotional health for all students and improve communication. I think about here at my base school, we've implemented a peer buddy program this year with fifth graders. They come down once a week to work with our self-contained PE class, and just to see them working together, I mean, really, it's terrific. And I've even seen it done at the high school level, where you have a self-contained PE class, but those general education students may come and join. Any type of opportunity we could promote like that, I think is really special.
So intratask variation, I'm sure our college students in the chat are very familiar with this term. So this is being able to adapt exercises or activities to a student's comfort level. What this intends to do is provide students with a choice, whether it's making it more difficult or making the task easier, so that they are able to participate at a level that is comfortable or just a bit more challenging, so that they can continue to grow. So this ideally will improve their motivation, their confidence, as well as their self-advocacy. So they're able to say, you know, I am doing a modified push-up very, very well, but I want to try now moving to a standard push-up. They are pushing themselves to continue to grow. So when we incorporate intratask variation into our program, it's very beneficial to both students with and without disabilities.
National Academy of Sports Medicine, Kenneth Miller, master trainer, and he has an article entitled Exercise Progressions and Regressions, the How-Tos of Scaling Movement. When we are, whether it's a fitness center or for a warm-up, and we're always looking at those kinetic chain checkpoints in the movement so that we can scale or make those micro changes as needed to help a student succeed in the exercise or activity. So that could be changing the intensity or the load, the range of motion, the height. So, for example, if this would maybe be more like a high school level, if someone wanted to use an assisted pull-up bar, you have the pad and it has the weight, and you just get on there, put your knees on the pad and come up. Okay, maybe we have to add a little bit extra support if someone's shorter. Speed or body position. And another thing I thought about was the height. In terms of row, what you could also do, this would be an advanced thing. You take a TRX band, and instead of having the individual, standing and trying to do the row, you could have them go lower to the ground, and build the muscles from a different angle. Now, we go about our lessons or activities. In our minds, we always have this running checklist of things going through our mind that we need to consider. Or as Bill Nye, the science guy, used to say, consider the following. The student / individual / athlete, depending on your context, mobility level, fitness level, cognitive level. What's your program goal or purpose? What is the exercise of the activity? what equipment is available to you? What weight or form of resistance are we going to use, if any? The amount of repetitions versus sets, distance, time, speed of the movement. When I think back to my time at Westchester University, I had the privilege of working in what we called our Monday night fitness program, where we had individuals with disabilities from the community come into our fitness center and we would run them through some workouts. And these were the types of things that was going through my mind, or not was, were. These are the types of things that were going through my mind as come in each week just to see where the student was. Okay, what can we change? Maybe do we need to pull back on? And in the case of any of you who work with high school students, maybe you've heard of this article, maybe you haven't, but Ken Murphy, Aaron Bagel, and Heather Irwin out of the University of Kentucky wrote an article for Joe Bird back in 2021 all about motivating high school students with this concept called PRAISE. Yes, it's a word, PRAISE, but it's also an acronym that they use. So we thought we'd try to make this chart here for you. You see it? So you have perceived confidence, relatedness, autonomy, individuality, social support, and enjoyment. Those 6 things helping to improve the motivation of a high school student when they are in the physical education setting. I'd like to shift that into a fitness realm. Oh, I gotta find it. In terms of perceived competence, with whatever adaptations are deemed beneficial, we really want to focus on the process versus the product. I had a student who was working on a push-up goal for a number of years at the middle school level. I say number, I said 2. I really want him to get this figured out. And I really want him to focus on, look, the process. It's not that we can't do the push-ups right now. It's what are the other factors involved in getting to that end goal. And when he got it, man, was he excited. And now actually doesn't even have APE services. So they're off on their own. And that's our ultimate goal as adaptive physical educators, is for those students to be able to go to a physical education class on their own and not require support. Relatedness, emphasizing the why, making it relevant. One of my students, the family has talked about the importance of core strength and for all the movements that they do. And I was like, okay, so we would work on that, as we're able to. Giving a challenge by choice is also important with that autonomy. Kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. Individuality. Everyone's going to have different perceptions. They have different skills and interests, and try and build upon those. Social support involving peers, maybe teachers or family members. Different student with a push-up goal right now. He has a peer buddy and does a lot of the activities with them on not by my own doing. He just does it on his own. That's great. And so he came over the other day and we tried to motivate the student to work on push-up form, and that was really neat. Even the PE teacher has gotten involved with that, and the enjoyment. I mean, it speaks for itself, but having variety is key, because I think many of us have been part of fitness programs or classes, and you get bored after a while. You just got to change it up, keep things interesting. Another good example out of Joe Bird comes from Laura Bruno and Avery Fagenbaum from College of New Jersey. They had a program that was called Animals in Motion, where they would do things like bunny hops, frog squats, even walking and dancing crocs. So you're probably wondering, okay, what's this all about? Well, it's a push-up plank. So you got a push-up plank from your hands, and then lifting the hands off the floor slowly with a controlled alternating pattern as if the croc was walking. They're in place, but again, trying to mimic a croc that is walking. And this is for elementary level we're talking to here. Should have added that. Then we got the dancing croc, where it's a push-up plank, but now we're having opposite shoulder taps. I'm sure some of you have used that before. And now we've got the crawling croc, where they're in the push-up plank, but then they go down to their forearms, and then they come back to their hands. So alternating plank. So we are working toward getting down to that forearm plank, but we're using crocodiles in that push-up plank as a method of getting to that point and going down and back up. If anything, it's more of a challenge to go down and back up.
So for dignity of risk, it kind of does go back to our intertask variation in a way. So it's allowing individuals dignity afforded by risk taking for personal growth and increased quality of life, regardless of age or ability. So being able to make independent and educated choices on how you wish to participate in an activity. This can really contribute to a positive growth mindset as well. So maybe they make a choice and it does not have an outcome that that student was hoping for. We still have to emphasize that that's okay because that was a learning opportunity. So when we provide them with options that they are able to choose from, they are able to either challenge themselves and continue to grow, or to grow in their mindset of, I can keep working at this, and if I keep practicing, then I will be able to develop the skill down the road. Obviously, it must be within reason. If the task is too difficult for them, then that could have a negative effect on their self-confidence. So we want to make sure that the options are age appropriate for the student. It's able to develop lifelong decision-making skills and independence. And we can involve the student in the brainstorming process. So if they are able to kind of advocate for themselves, we can provide them with options that are kind of more geared towards their interests. For example, I have a student that is very interested in soccer. They really enjoy doing that as a part of their community. So what we're able to do is kind of provide them some choices throughout the lesson that are geared towards their personal interest of soccer. So we can work on kicking, different types of shots, and he can kind of choose that day, you know, I want to work on penalty shots as opposed to on the move shots. Kind of a vague example, but just providing them those opportunities to take risks.
Yeah, when Lindsay Ball, Lauren Lieberman, and Pamela Habach Beach wrote this, they're at SUNY Brockport there, and they wrote that for Joe Bird in 2021. I read that and I just thought, wow, that really changes the game and how I work with my students on my goals. And yeah, thanks for sharing all that there, Hannah. We're going to show a quick video of all of these concepts put into practice. Adapted CrossFit. You are sharing. I'll make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, good. And we got the one.
Guys, today we're going to bring to you a simulated impairment workout where we've pulled 10 people from the crowd and they're going to work out as if they are adaptive athletes. Now the really cool treat here is that we've actually brought some adaptive athletes out here so you can see the way these simulations compare to the actual impairments and limitations that our adaptive athletes face when they're working out within a CrossFit gym. The workout today that they're going to simulate is a 3-round workout where they do 1 minute of work at each movement. And the movements are going to be wall ball, pull-ups, and rowing. But what our participants are actually going to do is simulate a temporarily impaired athlete that has torn his rotator cuff playing spike ball. So they're going to take their right arm and it's going to be across their chest the entire time.
With all that in mind, we're going to do a real quick 3-minute breakout group discussion. Pick an exercise or some type of warm-up activity, and what could you alter? So Brad, if you're able to get us into some breakout groups, this, I'm going to time this right at 3 minutes on the watch here.
About 3 or 4 people per group.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Stop share for a moment.
All right. We ready?
Go for it. Right. Pick right back up where we left off. Now I just got to find where my.
Really enjoyed that. That was very helpful.
Good.
I'm glad.
That's great. No, we're done with that. All right. Now into this whole concept of warming up. I take myself back to when I was a junior in college. That's when I started my adapted physical education minor at Westchester University. And at the time, I had the chance to work in the Monday Night Fitness program, as I had said before. And another college student and I, we had to work with an individual who had spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy, very limited in movement, like I said, limited mobility. We had a 60-minute session, and this ran for approximately about 3 months. We meet Monday nights, and this student was very motivated by aquatics. Now, at this point, in my life, I'm thinking about, man, what really can we do? But was so fortunate to have so many great mentors at Westchester at the time. The other girl I taught with, her name was Christy. Christy and I really put our heads together and were able to do some really cool things. Since she was so motivated by swimming, we used some modified swimmer stretches, arm circles, for flexibility as part of warm-up. For some flexibility and muscular endurance, we would do a scorpion or Superman. I think we even got up to like 45 seconds at one point, maybe 60. It's so long ago, I don't remember off the top of my head. But what was really neat was, in terms of cardio, I mean, we didn't have the pool. That was only on certain nights of the week. I was on Wednesdays. And so what we did was we put mats across the room. Said, all right, we're going to crawl. Now we didn't obviously get the whole room at, right away. We would go like one mat. One mat was approximately 5 feet. Okay. And now we're starting to get a little faster. Okay. Now we'll add a second mat in. All right. How about we add 4? And it eventually got to the point where she was able to crawl. And this room was probably about 30 feet in length. And she was able to crawl across that whole room. And it was really neat from just being able to find something from a cardio standpoint to be able to do. Certainly also would work on the muscular strength, although I didn't mention that. We used some light dumbbells for upper body strength, resistance bands, TheraBands. Trying to remember off the top of my head if we had used that during the program, if it was part of the summer plan we gave afterward. But really, it just opened my eyes to truly warming up to fitness adaptations. Oh, most important thing. And I done this, whether it was at Westchester or in my teaching experience, is the birthday candle breathing technique. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you have not. When you get a birthday cake, you typically have candles on it, right? And before you blow out the candles, you've got to get a big breath. So if I'm doing a shoulder press, I got to inhale as it comes down, and then, as we would call it, blow out the birthday candle. And we breathe in, and then breathe out. Lot of the individuals I've worked with have liked that analogy. They've found it to help them when doing exercises in the fitness center.
So here's another case study example of a student that I worked with last year. So that was my first year being an adaptive PE teacher. So this is a student that was diagnosed with autism and mild cerebral palsy that was participating in the general physical education setting. They were a 7th grade student at the time at a Title I school. We would have PE about every other day. They were 90-minute classes, but 5 minutes in the beginning of class and at the end of change. And the student received about 2 hours a month working with me in that setting. So at the school, one of their first units at middle school was just learning the differences between dynamic and static stretching and when those are applicable in an activity setting. So their first project was being able to create their own custom warm-up boards. So throughout the year, or like throughout the beginning of the year, I should say, they were introduced to dynamic exercises. And then in a small group, they were making either their own or a small group, like as a group would make the board. They would pick between 6 exercises that would focus on dynamic movement, upper, lower, and core. And what this allowed my student to do was, it was a great social interaction for them. They were very shy and kind of have some difficulties understanding social cues. So they were welcomed into the group. They were able to contribute their ideas and it felt very comfortable. And we were able to kind of modify the complexity of different skills. For example, the student had very strong core strength, but not necessarily the best lower body strength. So we were able to kind of incorporate varying difficulties of those exercises. We could put a range on the repetitions. So for that small group, most of the students would do 10 repetitions, whereas my student would choose to do between 5 or 7, depending on the activity. Once it was completed, what the project would entail is that for the remaining of the year, they would go and get their board at the start of class. They would find another group that they hadn't worked with, and they would teach that other group about the board that they created, and they would go through those warm-up exercises before class. So this was a great introduction of intertask variation because it allowed them to kind of choose their own exercises that they were comfortable with. They were able to change them as they went along as well. So if they started to feel more comfortable with upper body strength, or this dynamic warm-up is getting too easy for me, they were able to adjust that later. But the biggest thing I noticed, especially in the secondary setting, is it was really beneficial for their physical literacy, because the way the project was graded is the student would take their board to teacher and explain why they chose what they did. They were not being graded on the specific exercises, like if they were complex or anything like that, but just being able to justify the choices that they made allowed them to take ownership and pride in the work that they had submitted. So this is just kind of an example of where intertask variation in warm-ups was very beneficial.
So you've heard a lot of stories thus far about how we can really warm up to fitness adaptations. And now we're going to get into some specific adaptation application. We're going to go through some common fitness test adaptations that could be made, a couple specific exercise adaptations, and a couple activities where intertask variation can be built in. When it comes to the pacer test, some things that you could do is you could have the 20-meter cadence playing, but maybe have the student run a shorter distance. So maybe they go about 15 meters, maybe 12, hopefully not as low as 10, but I mean, it could be. Could have them complete as many laps as they can without stopping. I had a student with hypotonia, and running was just not something they weren't able to do, but we kept walking for as many laps as we could, and still built up cardiorespiratory endurance. Collect tokens along the way, whether that's gold coins, popsicle sticks. Another thing that I have seen done at some of my schools is a pacer relay. So the student runs up, and then at the beat, the next person goes to run, and they do this in groups of about 3, 4 students, maybe 5 if it's a really large class. If you've seen the Cooper Institute's remixes of the pacer test, the hip hop remixes are really cool. In fact, some of them don't even have the chimes in for each lap. So in a case where you're just trying to get them to complete as many laps as they can without stopping, it takes the chime out of the equation, and that's one less variable that you have to focus on. But these next few slides are some examples of some motivation charts that you could use as part of the pacer. These were things that I developed as part of my time at Westchester with our Wednesday night community-based adapted PE program. We called this the Great American Treasure Hunt, where, one lap, you would get a gold coin. Your goal is to see how many you could collect. We've even done it where they could try to earn baseball cards or football cards. even training for gold medals. Now, in this case, we had 3 different colored coins. We had green, we had purple, and we had gold. So if it was less laps than the previous week, you got a green coin. If it was the same, you got a purple. And if it was more laps than the previous week, then you would get a gold coin. For push-ups, many of us are familiar with our modifications from the knee or using the wall, but some of these are going to be things maybe you've tried before, maybe it's going to be new to you. This is an eccentric push-up, also known as a negative push-up, where we're just focusing on controlling that down movement, and then they could just come back up, in like a crawling type manner. You're wondering why the superhero cape? Well, you will find that out later in the presentation. Reverse push-up is when you start on the ground and then you push yourself up. I was working in elementary school at one point where the PE teachers, when they would, I think did my screen freeze? It might have. I don't know. I'll just try and keep talking. Oh, there we go. My screen froze for a second. I didn't know what's going on. Where as part of getting ready for the fitnessgram, they would do exactly this. If it would say down, they would come up. And then when it said up, they would go back down to the floor. So it was almost like opposite day. But it really helped the students with coming up with a back that was in line with their head, or head in line with their spine, I should say, other way around, maintaining that back as you're coming up. Do a hand release push up, where I know in the Army they do it where the arms go the whole way out. In this version, you just pick your hands up off the floor and push yourself up. Because think about it, if you're laying on your stomach and you want to get up, you're going to have to be able to push yourself off the floor. So this would be, practicing that skill. And then there's the TheraBand chest press. If anything else, I will say when I made this, the only thing I forgot was to attach the band to the chair. So I obviously didn't have a problem doing it on my back at the time when I made this, but obviously you want to attach this to a chair, or if you're in a fitness center and there's some type of structure, like a squat rack or something, that would be ideal. For curl ups, some things that you could consider are what I call the knee hold, where you just come up and just try to hold on to your knees. Really want to focus on looking at the ceiling in this instance. And again, that birthday candle breathing. So you breathe out when you come up and you breathe in when you go down. I like to call this the roller coaster. I've had students with curl up goals, and the line on the ground, yes, it's nice, but a more tactile feel is it's approximately 4 inches from the middle of your thigh to your knee. It's right about there. So I would treat it for like the younger students, like, well, a roller coaster, what's it do? Well, it goes up first and then it goes down. So you're going up with control and then back down. If you were doing the standard curl up and you wanted to take that whole line out of the equation, because sometimes students are like, oh, did I get to the line or not? Again, it's approximately 4 inches from your ankle to where your hands would be, like on a curl up line. So again, a tactile feel. You can still do the standard curl up. You're just taking the line out of the equation. Again, one less variable to account for. I will show this very quickly, and then we'll be right back here. Now I just got to make sure I go to the right screen. No, where did it go? Oh, there it is. Integrative Fitness Programs has a really, really neat modified curl up guide that you could download their website. I have done it before for a student, actually the same one with hypotonia that I was referring to earlier. And that is integrativefitnessprograms.com. In fact, I'll even copy that and put it in the chat if you are interested. There we go. And let's go back to here. And if you're doing fitness testing in general, we did something called the Fabulous Fitness 5 Championships, where your goal is to perform as many personal best as possible in the fitness skills, and the goal, many gold medals.
So modified jumping jacks, this is a skill that I actually use with one of my students that has hip dysplasia. So we have to reduce a lot of impact on the body. So as you can see, she's raising her hands above her head like you typically see in a standard jumping jack, but instead of jumping with, like the 2 feet out and then back in, she's taking one step off to the side.
And this is one of our adapted physical educators here in Fairfax County who made this video and turned it into a GIF.
Yeah. So mountain climbers, this is also a skill you'll primarily see in the secondary setting, but it can be introduced into elementary. So these are progressions to get to the correct form of mountain climbing. However, these can be used in place as well. So kind of like going back to inter-task variation, these are ways that we can simplify mountain climbing by providing options. So she was marching, opposite hand, opposite knee, marching against a wall. This was just kind of building up the students' coordination and endurance so that when they are able to perform the standard mountain climber, that they'll feel a little bit more comfortable doing so.
And the top of the mountain, oh, where's the top of the mountain? Yep, yeah, we got to the top. Stop that there. We're gonna go for a few more minutes here that will give you the chance to have a screen break. But when I was in college, I went back to my high school and worked with the self-contained PE class there. And we did a little summer activity circuit where whether it be dumping mulch or starting the lawnmower, taking those weighted jump ropes and then just trying to pull, get that pulling motion, or jumping in the pool, squat jump, just being able to jump off the ground. Something that we did.
So these are warm-up boards I'm currently using in my self-contained classes at the elementary level. I'm not sure how well you guys can read it, but what we have is that the exercise is on the left with a physical demonstration. And as we're going through, as a teacher, I'm also doing these skills as a physical demonstration. We have the cues. This is both for the students, but it's also for if you have any like instructional aids in your class, especially for my severe kids. What we're able to do is they go through the cues, and with adult assistance, they can kind of continue to work on these skills. And we have a physical manipulative with the yellow circle that they move to the all done side with Velcro. You can change these, you can customize them to your student interests. But having students, especially that might not attend to instruction as well, having a physical board in front of them is pretty beneficial.
Something that we have done at my base school, elementary school, is have warm-ups based on things that the students might be familiar with, like Charlie Brown. I'll show a portion of this. I'm gonna have to show really fast here. I gotta find, where is Charlie Brown? There we are.
Ready? Let's jump.
So this one was more locomotor based, or we would have the animated GIF. There we go. I might be better. And then again, oh, there it is. And so we do like jump, pop, and we put in exercises like twist, jumping jacks, even as, let's see if I get it to the point. Yeah, the dog, no, too far.
Okay.
Their dog walk. Even if they crouch on the floor on their hands and knees, it's still just as good. Go back. Now, this is where the Superman costume comes into play. This is our warm-up for this year, and they absolutely love it. So share Superman.
Ready? Skip.
Those jump, skip, and here's where our
Ready? Let's fly.
task variation could come into play. Fly. Trying to fast forward here. And these were our practice push-ups. And added some arm circles in. Oh, arm circles, and then we finish off with running there at the end. last example we'll share is
Cody, there was a question in the chat. Can I ask
Yeah.
it, or would you like to?
if we could save that about 30
okay,
seconds,
go
then
for
we'll
it.
answer it. And then the last thing we'll share, something that we've done here with our general physical education and our self-contained physical education class here at the elementary school is a gymnastics game called Yogi Bear. See, Yogi Bear really likes to take picnic baskets. And in this game or activity, students bear crawl on the mat. They try and get a picnic basket, which is the bean bag, but they're trying not to get caught by the park ranger. And the park ranger is the PE teacher tagging them with a noodle. And so it's just something that the PE teachers have done for a number of years here. And we tried it with our self-contained class for the first time this year and with the peer buddies. And oh man, they just ate it right up. It was fantastic. So yeah, just something fun that you can try. Actually, we'll go answer that question in the chat real quick. Can we share those boards?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, we can do that. Really fast.
Do that at the end, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be really fast.
Yeah, sure. So just to start wrapping up here, when in doubt, reach out. Kind of like what we touched on earlier, every single student is unique, both with and without disabilities. So maybe one thing that works with a student that has the same disability is not going to work for another student with that same disability. So you have to be flexible. So that's when you want to make sure you're building a network of support. So, reaching out to other teachers. Networking does not necessarily mean, just in the job search mindset, but, finding other teachers, members of the IEP team. So I'm really close to the physical therapist in my building. We tend to collaborate a lot on different skills that would be beneficial, how to adapt things, and finding quality resources, whether that's journals, even social media, like just finding different media outlets that you can use to either get ideas or to collaborate with other adapted PE teachers.
YouTube and Twitter, I mean X. Yeah, they're my BFFs. We were going to include this poll of the audience, but we are so short on time at this point. Just had so much to cover. Think about this question for yourself, what maybe you could do now to warm up to adapting fitness. But if you've got nothing else out of today, the most rewarding things in life are often the ones that look like they cannot be done. We're going to finish with one final video. It's really quick, really motivational, and that'll be it.
Out again. Nice. Go, 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 go. No, no, no. What a save. Okay, save it. You got this one. A similar spot to where he fell last year. Come on. This move made even more challenging with that prosthetic. Yeah, hold it. Look at the fight in this man. Gary, forget commentating. Gary, come on, Gary. So trying to launch himself, get in position to launch. Just go for it. Yes! Get me out of here! The entire Get me out of here! Oh my goodness! Gary, oh my goodness! One of the greatest saves we've ever seen! Oh my goodness!
So, if you've got questions, there's our contact information. Oh, I guess I got to reshare the slide. That would help. No, what am I doing? This one. There we go. If you got questions, you can certainly reach out to us. Other than that, that was all I had. Thank you for coming today. We hope that you learned something new, or if anything else, learned about meeting individuals where they are, and maybe you'll come up with something on your own. So, thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming.